Hey, what's going on, guys? I wanted to make a video to show everybody that the Lumbering Cold Zombie Charger rune is still viable after the nerf. They nerfed the Lumbering Cold rune a couple patches ago, and the majority of Witch Doctors before it was nerfed pretty much were just running Lumbering Cold. It was too good. The ability, the way it functioned mechanically was just too good, especially against single targets. So it needed to be nerfed. And I understand why they did it, and I'm happy they did because I think a lot of people got a little bit more creative after it was nerfed. But basically, this is it right here. Lumbering Cold, zombie winter bears crawl out from the ground and run in all directions, dealing almost 200% weapon damage as cold. Now, it used to do about 252%, I believe, weapon damage, so that it got nerfed by about a little over 50% damage-wise, which wasn't a big deal. But what it used to do was the bears used to come out right from your character, right at your feet. Well, now, when you cast it, they start about 4 yards out. So what you used to be able to do was you could position yourself with Spirit Walk right on top of a mob, bosses and things like that, and make it so that each bear would hit that particular mob on every cast. So it was insane for damage, it was insane for on-hit proc effects, and things like that. Now, you can still do something a little bit similar to that with bosses with big hitboxes like Gom and stuff like that. You can basically kind of Spirit Walk right on top of him and then do it that way. But for the most part, that's not near as powerful as it used to be. But you know what? It's still good. It's still solid. Before the nerf, I could probably put on some really good rares, 0 legendaries, and go do Torment 3 before they nerfed the health and Torment levels. Just fine. That's how good Lumbering Cold was. Now you got to be a little bit more creative and make sure you're stacking certain, you know, zombie charger damage and cold damage and things like that. So this is what we're doing build-wise. We got an Azure Wrath, 16% cold damage, which we're running. Our main AoE is zombie charger Lumbering Cold. We're also going to run Spirit Barrage Well of Souls. Really nice long-range nuke, and in tandem with Rush of Essence, we get a lot of mana back. So that's really good, and those are both cold damage. So we got cold damage there on the Azure Wrath, and also have a 24% chance to freeze on hit. And both of these abilities have a very high on-hit proc chance for that. The majority of the time, mobs are frozen. It's very, very good. The nice thing, too, about these two abilities in tandem is a lot of times you can kind of run in on a pack, start, you know, channeling your bears, and then when things get a little sketchy, you can dip back out and then start channeling your Well of Souls from range. So it's a very dynamic gameplay. It's a lot of fun to play. So as far as other cold damage, we've got cold damage here on the strong arms. The legendary effect is really pretty irrelevant with this build. It's just a good pair of bracers. Max crit, high intelligence, vit, and cold damage. Got the Rakoff's Glass of Life for Gruesome Feast. A little bit more health globe is always good. Again, we're running the 4-piece Zuni set, just like the Explosive Toads build. It's a, you know, having your fetishes last forever is really, really good single target damage. It's really good on bosses and elite and champion packs, and it gives you more survivability too, because, you know, monsters will attack your fetish as opposed to you. It's really nice. So we've got the Ring of Royal Grandeur to reduce the number of set items we need for a bonus. So we're just running 3 pieces of Zuni, string, Morrow, helmet, and then that gives us the 4th piece to get the 4-piece out of it. So currently we're running 2 pieces of Helltooth. Actually 3 pieces at the moment. The fourth set bonus is irrelevant. These just happen to be the 3 best items in those slots for what I'm trying to do. They have high stats more than anything, but also the 2 set bonus is nice, 500 intelligence. We've got an Avarice band here. This is pretty good with Gruesome Feast as well. It gives us more pickup radius whenever we pick up some gold. Also, it just has really nice stats. Hellcat Waistguard, extra damage versus elites and some attack speed. And then we got some Bojanglers with zombie charger damage on them. So ideally, I would like to have zombie charger damage on the vision, but we have Spirit Barrage damage for now, which is totally fine. This could also be crit chance. Any of those 3 would be fine. I'd probably rather have the zombie charger over Spirit Barrage though. And then the reduction to all skills here on the Zuni string is nice. I would still probably rather have zombie charger there. But I mean, those are fairly irrelevant at the moment. We're over 1 million unbuffed damage with extra zombie charger here, Spirit Barrage here, and then extra cold damage from our weapon and our bracers. So we have a lot of damage. Our toughness is about 7 million right now, which I think is plenty. I mean, like 8 or 9 million would be nice, but for Torment 3, which is what we're going to farm in this video, I think that's plenty. Oh, quick thing here. I want to show you the first thing I want to show you before we go over all the rest of the abilities is how Rush of Essence works with Spirit Barrage. So Rush of Essence reads Spirit spells return 100 mana over 10 seconds. So I'll show you on the sheet here. When you go to your mana regeneration per second, we're at 71.5 unbuffed. So watch how high it gets when I spam this ability. It's still climbing. I think we get up to about 250, maybe a little higher. 280. 280 is the top. So if you're just sitting there spamming this ability, you're at 280 mana regen per second. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll spam a bunch of this, get up to the top, and then spam bears after that. Because you can kind of just spam bears for a very long time while that's still going on, as you can see. I mean, it's kind of crazy. At the moment, I think something like Spirit Barrage in tandem with Rush of Essence is our best way to regain mana at the moment. But anyways, so I explained these three abilities. We're running Honored Guest for more mana. Lumbering Cold, Zombie Charger is fairly mana intensive. Running Soul Harvest Siphon for another heal. This could be potentially something else, but I like it. And then we're running Big Bad Voodoo, Rain Dance for, again, more mana just in case we need it on bosses and stuff. You don't have to run this. Again, you could run Slam Dance potentially if you'd like. We're going to run Jungle Fortitude for 15% less damage, and then Grave Injustice for more mana, more life, and the cooldown reduction. So that's the build. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go, let's see. Let's go to Act 1. Go here. Always open those chests. Nothing this time. We'll get our stacks up. So as you can see, I mean, Zombie Charger is still doing a lot of damage. You know, it doesn't work exactly the way that it used to, and it's not quite as good, but it's still, this is Torment 3, and it's kind of ripping through this stuff. And I think Zombie Charger, Lumbering Cold, is very, very good in tandem with Well of Souls. I think the kind of balance between having a really nice AoE that's melee and then a really nice long-range nuke like this works out very, very well. And also you can see that there's a lot of freezing going on from the Azure Wrath. So even on a pack like this where there's a bunch of just all kinds of stuff on the ground going on, they got Frozen, Arcane Enchanted, and Orbital, you can kind of just get back here in range and just spam this ability. Gives it a lot of versatility. A lot of versatility, man. I really enjoy it. The one fantastic thing about Witch Doctor at the moment is there's very viable builds for every kind of elemental damage they can do. There's very good cold damage builds like this. There's very good fire damage. I think fire damage is probably my favorite, but poison's probably the best overall. There's some really, really solid poison builds. But, I mean, you can go any of those three routes very easily. And even like early on in the game, when you first get Reaper of Souls, when the game first releases, you'll be able to do similar builds to this with not much gear. I mean, you could do some Torment 1 with just good rares and maybe a legendary here or there, just fine. Like you wouldn't have too much issue. Now, maybe you're not going to have an Azure Wrath, which the Azure Wrath weapon does make this build very, very good. As you can see, the freezes here. I mean, these guys are like perma-frozen. But you don't need to perma-freeze in Torment 1 anyways, you know? So, I think when the game releases, there's going to be a lot of options for people, as long as they're willing to think outside the box a little bit and make sure that they gear properly, too. Because again, like I said, we're missing out on about 30% more Zombie Charger damage than we could have. And then we could also have some cold damage on an amulet as well, which we don't. Which would be, you know, another probably 20% increase to our overall damage. So, there's definitely improvement for this build even right now. We're doing Torment 3 with pretty much ease. I've just had a lot of people come into my stream and ask me if Lumbering Cold was still good. And I gotta be honest, when it first was nerfed, I was telling people that it just wasn't very good. And, I kind of regret that a little bit. I don't think I gave it enough of a chance right after it got nerfed. Just, it was a pretty big nerf. I mean, if anybody saw Lumbering Cold before the nerf, you understand what I mean. It was a huge nerf, but you know, it needed nerfed. It was just too good. Because like I said before, you could pretty much just run Lumbering Cold as your only damage. Go into Torment 3 and kill an Elite Pack in like 3 seconds. That's just, that kind of thing is just not good for the game. It's not good for the class. It's very bad for build diversity when one ability is far and away better than everything else. Because when they first nerfed it, I said it was over-nerfed, and the more I play with it, I realized that Blizzard actually did a very good job nerfing it. It's still viable. They didn't nerf it to a point where you can't use it. So I actually give Blizzard props, actually, to be completely honest. Because a lot of times, I feel like sometimes they'll nerf things a little bit too much right off the bat, and then maybe rebalance them later. But I think they actually did a very good job of the nerf this time. Go ahead and make a new game and go fight Gom real quick. Just show you what it's like on a boss. As you can see, I dyed my gear and transmogged just for this build. I figured the blue and the gold was pretty fitting for a cold build. I had it all red and gold before for the fire. Figured we better switch build to build. If we go poison next, I'll make sure it's green and gold. You gotta make sure your wardrobe matches your build, man. That's what Reaper of Souls is all about. You gotta be stylish while you slay demons. So I mean, like, even Spirit Barrage is doing a ton of damage, man. It's doing a ton of damage. And again, like I said, you could run Slam Dance as well. I'm just running this at the moment just because I like the added reassurance that I'm not going to run out of mana on a boss fight or a champion pack, but you could definitely build in a way that Slam Dance is viable. The single target is just very, very solid with the fetishes and the Spirit Barrage going on there. It's kind of similar to the Explosive Toads build in that Spirit Barrage is mainly your single target, and then your Lumbering Cold is your main AoE for the most part. These guys are just like perma-froze almost. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. So Gom should be right around the corner here, I think. Maybe not. Going the wrong way. Looks like we need to go go south to find him. I like the fact that when you pick up a health globe, it actually like shows the health globe going to all your little fetishes too. It's a neat little effect. There's a few effects like that. For instance, when mobs that have Jailer, they'll jail all your little fetishes too. Looks pretty neat. I got another pack here. We got Frozen Pulse. We should be able to get in there with Zombie Charger. A lot of times with this build, there's a lot of builds where I don't really pay much attention to the affixes on the mobs. This is one build though where I actually do. I normally try to look and see what they have, and then from there decide if I'm going to rush right in with Zombie Charger or not. So like these guys, we should be able to go into Zombie Charger just fine. The only thing you gotta worry about is the Poison Enchanted. Because, you know, if they were, for instance, Poison Enchanted and Electrified, I would have needed to stay back in Spirit Barrage right there to be on the safe side. Which I like that about the build. It makes it a little bit more strategic opposed to just face rolling everything, which a lot of builds do, which is fun in its own right. But it's nice being a little strategic here and there with a game like this. Alright, let's see how Gom does. We don't quite have our Big Bad Voodoo up just yet. But even without it, I mean, he's going down pretty quick. Let's get a stack. mean, the Spirit Barrage in tandem with the fetishes is just very, very quick damage. And as you can see, with that much attack speed with the fetish down, the Big Bad Voodoo, he's frozen a lot of the time from the proc on the weapon. So, I mean, for Torment 3, it's really pretty quick. I'm actually going to pick these up. I need some crafting materials. So, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked the build. Just wanted to show Lumbering Colt's still viable. I think it's very viable. I mean, I think that video is proof enough that you're going to be able to run it. That's Torment 3 right now. It's doing very well for AoE on most of those packs. So, it's a good time. It's an enjoyable build. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I like the fact that each elemental type of damage for the Witch Doctor is viable. I think that's fantastic. I think it makes for a lot of build diversity, and I think you guys will enjoy that as well when Reaper of Souls is released here in about a month. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.